Welcome everybody, I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com and I've got your December 2023 horoscopes. The year's nearly over and we'll be going into 2024. That's unbelievable. The time is going so quickly. I've got all signs here, so don't forget to click the timestamp below to go directly to your sign, and also check out your moon and rising signs as well. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what's happening this month, and then you can go directly to your sign if that's what you would like to do. I'll start some music because it will be more visually appealing. The important thing to realize is that the stars impel, they do not compel. You are not forced to do anything. You come under various influences, as I do, and it's up to you. You have freedom of will as to what you do with those influences and how you respond. So let's have a look now at what those influences are. Most of the star signs, except for Virgo and Libra, have an aspect pattern to begin the month. There's various aspect patterns this month: T-squares, talent triangles, and minor grand trines as well. So depending on your star sign, you will see what that means for you when you look at the video. Some of the other things that are happening, I should say, with those aspect patterns, because for example the T-squares have the moon involved, the moon is very fast traveling, so it is literally only for a matter of hours on the 1st of December that those red T-squares are active in your life. Other things to note: Mercury is going retrograde this month on the 13th. It will be retrograde for approximately 3 weeks. There is a shadow period of about a week from the 6th to the 13th when the energies of Mercury retrograde are coming on. If you're sensitive, you may feel these things to do with communications, or maybe your thinking. You may feel things are sort of slowing down. Then at the end of the retrograde period, there is another shadow period for about a week where things are starting to speed up. During Mercury retrograde, computers and devices can play up. Sometimes there's miscommunication. There can be various delays and misunderstandings. It's not a great time for travel. If you have to travel, then allow plenty of time. It's not a great time for signing contracts. If you have to sign a contract, do know that you may need to go back and revisit that contract because something else changes. When Mercury turns direct, often things change. That's the same for many of the personal planets, or all of the personal planets. So other things happening: on the 5th, Venus is going into Scorpio, bringing a lot of intense, compelling emotions. Depending on what house Venus is in, that's the area of your life that will be affected. If Venus is in your 7th or 8th house, that can bring passionate times as far as sex and romance, and your 5th house as well. Sex and romance, but it can also bring disagreements and arguments. Sometimes there is another side to Libra and Venus, and perhaps even Taurus, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra, and that is arguments. So Libra can argue. So don't think it's all love and passion. You could just be just as passionate about arguing. Hope that makes sense. On the 6th, Neptune turns direct. Many people will not feel this. Pisces may. If you're particularly sensitive, you may also feel this. And things start to surge ahead in your spiritual life, and you may become somewhat more idealistic. On the 13th, the new moon is in Sagittarius, joining the Sun and Mars, and this brings brand new beginnings. And Mercury will go retrograde on the 13th as well. The 22nd, the Sun goes into Capricorn, bringing home the importance of timing, scheduling, being structured, keeping a plan, all those sorts of things. 23rd, Mercury retrograde goes into Sagittarius. Sagittarians obviously will be very much affected. The 27th sees a full moon in Cancer, which could be quite emotional and could involve women, particularly your mother. On the 30th, Venus also goes into Sagittarius, bringing a beautiful, expansive energy, which may be warm and polite and friendly, smooth and peaceful. The 31st sees Jupiter turning direct in Taurus. This could bring real physical effects, particularly good luck and sort of manifestation of anything that Jupiter touches. So it could be quite positive and quite optimistic at that time. All right, so that's your overview for this month, December. I hope you find this useful. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a comment and a like. That would be wonderful. Share on your socials. Now you can go direct to your sun sign, your moon and your rising sign. Have a great month. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, awesome Aries. I've got your horoscope, of course. First, let's choose the cards. I've got 2 cards to draw for you for the first and the second half of the month. Okay, we'll go to the board now and do that before we look at your horoscope in depth. So for awesome Aries in the month of December, what am I seeing? There's a man here in a suit, a dark suit with a thin dark tie. This is suggesting to me perhaps something to do with authoritarian figures and masculine energy. This could appear in a woman, of course, particularly a postmenopausal woman. However, it just means that it's a masculine energy in a woman's body, perhaps. The other thing I see is an old-fashioned biplane, like they used in the 20s and the 30s. The 1920s and 1930s I'm talking about, and something's about to take off. Maybe it's a bit of an old-fashioned idea or you're not right up to date with it, but it's about to take off in any event. Okay, so the card that comes out is the Justice card. Unfortunately, it seems that justice is an old-fashioned idea today. However, this is natural law that never goes out of style rather than human law, L-A-W. I'm talking about natural law, L-O-R-E. Okay, it's important to listen to your intuition, okay, because that's giving you all of the clues that you need to make a good decision. You don't have all of the information because, see, she's dressed in black here. However, listening to that owl and using your mind, you can actually cut through to the core of the issue and balance the evidence in front of you to come up with a decision. It's important to be very practical about it, keep your feet on the ground, and then to take action, okay? So natural justice. However, this card, this energy, can also help you with human justice if you do have a legal matter at the moment, okay? So Venus is going into your house of legalities as well. Sorry, Venus is in your house of legalities and also going into the 8th house, which is shared resources, which can sometimes involve legalities. I'll talk more about that when we get onto your horoscope. Okay, it's a major arcana card. It's pretty important, okay? And the effects can go for more than just 1 month. The effects can go for many months. And also, I want to say psychically, it's not in your chart per se. Even though the effects can go for many months, it's vitally important. You could have some sort of offer, so it's vitally important to put the energy into whatever comes up around any legal matters this month. Okay. All right. So now we're looking at the second half of the month. What do I see? A door opening up in front of me. It's a sort of modern door with a rounded off handle, so something more modern. Okay, let's have a look. I've just got Prince Harry in the background crying. Okay, it's time to let go of a burden. You've been carrying something way too long and it's been heavy to carry. It's a burden on your shoulders. It's time to let it go because it's the 10 of Wands. So you've reached the end of the cycle. A 10 is a 1 and a 0, so there's a new beginning around the corner, the door opening up. There it is in spirit, It will take a little time to manifest down to the physical world. However, you can start a new cycle without burdens, okay? There has been a lot of growth in whatever it is that you're letting go of. You might even be a little bit reluctant to let go of it because you have had some good things come out of it, okay? So stop persevering with anything that's not working. There is a hill in the background here which was a bit like a challenge, a mountain to climb. However, you've come down the other side now, so you've done the hard yards. Let go of the burden so you can move on. Okay, all right, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now and you'll be able to see it better, one would hope. Okay, your horoscope. All right, there's a few things happening here. Your ruler is conjunct the sun at the start of the month. Okay, and it's in Sagittarius, and this is likely to give you a feeling of more energy, more vitality perhaps. Maybe you're feeling more motivated. You want to press ahead with something, okay? And if you have been studying, perhaps you're almost at the end of your study, or alternatively, you're at the end of something and you might take up study, and maybe next year in 2024 you might be thinking about studying. But this is all about expanding your life, okay? Making your horizons so much bigger as you can look into the future. There's a fair few things happening in that house this month. Mercury is there at the moment. It's going to move and come back again. The new moon is there. Venus is coming into this house as well, and then the sun and Mars. So it's quite an energetic period of time, or an active period of time for your spirituality, travel, study, philosophy, or perhaps dealing with people from overseas countries, overseas connections. Venus is going into Scorpio this month. I'll talk about that. That can be quite meaningful. Your ruler still there, I talked about, and the T-square. Now, this T-square literally only lasts for a day or two, right at the start of the month. This is set for the 1st of December, so it could be the end of November or early December, but 1st of December is the most likely. And normally, if the moon is in whatever phase it's in, apart from new moon or full moon, I wouldn't mention it, but I'm only mentioning it because it's forming a T-square on the first day of the month, which is a little bit significant. It's opposite Pluto here, so there's some sort of transformation going on between your work or your public life and your family and your home and family. So it's important to get the balance between being outside the home, your life outside the home, and your life inside the home. Okay, so something major could be going on with your career with all of this activity, which I'll talk about directly. The apex planet is Venus here in your 7th house of significant others. Is your career or your activities outside the home in any way affecting your relationships at home? Okay, that's a question to ask. And it's conjunct your south node, so your previous experience, how you've been brought up, how does that sit with your belief systems around maybe marriage or your significant others, your children? And what you're being called to do is to be more independent, okay? So it's a little bit of a struggle, but it dissolves in a day or two, so I wouldn't worry about it at all. It's just something to think about. So let's move on now in more depth. The second sees Mercury going into Capricorn up here, okay? So bringing a lot of communications and brilliant ideas around your career, your status, or perhaps your reputation, and even to do with authority figures, okay? Maybe that's where the Justice card comes in. Then we have on the 5th, Venus going into Scorpio that I mentioned before. I think this is really significant because the 8th house is a very deep, compellingly intense sort of house, and it's great with Venus there for your sex life. It brings a lot of passion, okay? Sometimes the other side, there is a side to Venus. We think of love and affection and all of the beautiful things. There is a side to Venus, though, that can argue. And in the old days, I'm talking thousands of years ago, Basically, the morning star, I think it was the morning star, was the sort of aggravated, disagreeable, argumentative aspects of Venus, and the evening star was the sexual, loving sort of vibe that Venus has as well. So just be aware that with Venus in here, it brings passion. There can be arguments, but it also can really enhance your intimate life with people that are very close to you. Okay, then we have on the 6th, Neptune is turning direct. It's a transpersonal planet, so unless you're a psychic or somebody who's really sensitive and tuned in, here, Neptune in Pisces, your spirit may have been a little bit quieter these past few months, but when it turns direct, you may start feeling more spiritual. You may pick up more of the subtle energies. You may start to dream more and remember your dreams, all of those sorts of things. Okay, so you'll probably only notice it if you're sensitive or you're really interested in spirituality. On the 13th, the new moon is in Sagittarius up here, and it will quickly catch up to Mars and the Sun here, which is only at 4 and 8 degrees, so yeah, like hours basically, or maybe one day, and these will all be conjunct. Okay, so this brings new beginnings in the way that you expand your life. You might have some brilliant ideas. I will be writing everything down on the 13th, because you might have some brilliant ideas for starting new projects or looking at, again, study, spirituality, or perhaps even travelling. Okay, a holiday overseas, is that on the agenda for you? However, on the same day, Mercury also in that house, at the end of that house, goes retrograde. Okay, so in the intro, I've talked a lot about Mercury retrograde. In your 9th house, this might slow down your plans somewhat. And so it's a great time for planning. It's not a great time so much for putting those plans into practice. So just be aware that anything to do with training, you may need to wait. Your training, your spirituality, your travel, you may need to wait some time before you can actually start. But it is great for planning. On the 22nd, the Sun goes into Capricorn here, bringing additional insight and awareness to your career. You might even get to train in your career. It could be there's some courses you need to do for a specific job to, say, get a promotion or something like that. And so the Sun will help you with that. Even happiness can come with the Sun, as well as insight and awareness. So it's a good omen for you. And it really improves those relationships with authority figures as well. On the 23rd, Mercury is popping back into Sag, so it's moving forward, it turns direct, and then it comes back into Sagittarius again, and that will truly slow down your plans around study or travelling. If you are travelling during Mercury retrograde, it's not ideal. Make sure you leave plenty of time between legs of your itinerary, if that's the case. On the 27th, I must say too, however, it is a fabulous time to complete anything that you start, say, a week before the 13th. So anything that you started before, say, the 6th of the 6th of December, it's a fabulous time to go back to that and complete that. Okay, so on the 27th, the full moon is in Cancer down here, and this can sometimes bring a bit of turbulence to your home and family. And it's a great time, though, however, to have more time alone and to sit and reflect. Okay, when that turbulence is coming up, have a look. But privacy is very important during a full moon in Cancer, so that you can go over everything. Emotions could be coming up about various things to do with home and family. There might be things going on with some family members that are a bit emotional at that time, so just bear that in mind. On the 30th, Venus into Sagittarius and up here, and again it's in your 9th house. So this brings a lovely, smooth flowing, polite, courteous sort of energy to any discussions or interactions you're having about spirituality, travel, and also expanding your life. And 31st, Jupiter is direct in Taurus here, bringing a surge towards your finances, a surge of energy. Jupiter will catch up to Uranus in a few days. It could be something unexpected happens. However, it could be positive with Jupiter. Jupiter brings good luck. Okay, so that's it, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. I hope this is useful. Don't forget, check out your moon and your rising signs on this video as well. Have a fabulous month. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Hello, terrific Taurus. Well, your ruler is moving into Sagittarius this month, so that might be a little bit exciting for you, especially regarding your relationships. But firstly, let's draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you, and then we'll have a look at your horoscope in depth. Okay, going to the board, these 2 tarot cards. The first one, the first half of the month, it's like I'm out in space. I see the Earth and I'm up there in the stratosphere. Actually, I'm actually in space, looking out over the planet, and I can see the curvature of the Earth here, and the sun is just coming around the corner. So it's the start of a new day for you. It may be literally, but certainly metaphorically, symbolically, there's a new chapter of life about to begin for you. Okay, let's see what card we get. It's the 7 of Cups. You reaching out for spiritual attainment. Sometimes there's a bit of a sacrifice involved with this. It could be the amount of effort that's required, or the time or the energy in order to reach out to get the success that you want. Normally it's on a spiritual level. Being a 7, there's a spiritual sort of correlation with that, and the Cups, of course, is all about your emotions. Sometimes with this card, but not very often, it means setting a boundary and putting your hand up and saying no. Okay, enough is enough. So that may apply as well. Alrighty, and that's the first half of the month. Now the second half of the month, what do I see for you, terrific Taurus? Okay, I'm in the shower. I see the shower head and the water coming out. So clean up your act. Go and have a shower. But yeah, it could be anything to do with, say, diet or any addictions you might have. You're just being asked to clean up your act a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look and see what card we get. It's the 8 of Pentacles, so it's probably to do with your work. If you're doing work that your heart's not in, perhaps it's saying get involved in your work on an emotional basis or leave. This is a fantastic card, actually, one of my favourite cards, because it's about doing work to the best of your ability. Often it's to do with your hands, even if that's typing, and being suitably rewarded for the work that you do. And this is often very good work. There's an element of creativity and individuality around this, okay, where you put your personal energy into a job. So if you can't do that in the job that you're in, then maybe you need something more fulfilling, okay? But money comes with it, commensurate money. So the rewards are there if you put the effort in, basically, okay? So that's the 8 of Pentacles. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And some of the things we'll be looking at: Mercury retrograde, Venus going into Scorpio. Venus is your ruler, and so this is very important for you. And your ruler also going into Sagittarius. But we start the month off with this T-square. Normally, because this is not a full moon, so this is set for the 1st of December. This is just the moon in its normal phases. And on the 1st, it is actually opposite Pluto up here in your 9th house of the higher mind. You might find you're thinking a bit cloudy. If you've got an assignment to do, maybe the 1st of the month isn't the best day to do it. And anything where you want to expand your life or travel, study, research, philosophy, anything to do with the higher order faculties of thinking, might just be a little bit confusing on that day. It's only for hours, okay? The moon only spends 2.5 to 3.5 days in every house, so it's just for a few hours, so don't stress about it. The apex is over here in your everyday work, Venus and your south node, which are conjunct. And so this is your relationships with people that you have on a daily basis. It might be something around beautifying your workspace or your daily routine, wherever you spend your time, beautifying it, decorating it, but there could be some sort of bit of confusion or something like that. However, Pluto and the Moon are both funneling their energies into this. So you probably, if you're trying to beautify an area, you'll probably do it and come out with something that's okay and an improvement. So it's wherever you spend the most amount of your time. It could also be to do with your health or well-being as well. It's a bit of a struggle, but you'll probably sort it out. There's a way through, basically. T-squares, although there's a challenging aspect to it, there's usually enough energy to get over whatever the hurdles are and be successful in some way. Okay, so that's the start of the month. On the 2nd, Mercury goes into Capricorn up here, and so Pluto's already at the end, but it will stay there. So Pluto only moves like 1 to 2 degrees per year, so it'll just stay there. But basically, Mercury moving in here means there's going to be a lot of new ideas about how you can expand your life, how you can travel. Maybe there's more conversations or communications with people overseas, and it's great for your spirituality as well. Discussions about that. On the 5th, Venus into Scorpio here. This is fabulous. Scorpio in your house of significant others. And Venus going into Scorpio, it brings a lot of passion. Now, sometimes we're under a bit of a misapprehension about Venus because we think, oh, lovely, kind, beautiful, affectionate, warm Libra, and we don't see that sometimes Libra can actually argue. So thousands of years ago, when astrology was first formed, that was probably about 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, nobody really knows, but it was thousands of years ago. And they used to say that the evening star Venus in the night sky was all about love and love making and affection and the warmth. And they used to say that in the morning sky that it was about arguing. So there are certain situations where Libra, although she doesn't like confrontation normally, there are certain situations where she can argue, okay? So she's here in your 7th house, and then she'll move into Sagittarius, but it usually brings very good relationships with important partners, whether they be business partners or a husband-wife spouse situation. And those people that are your partners close to you, your partners in crime, so to speak. Neptune's direct on the 6th over here in your house of friends and associates and groups. Brings a lovely spiritual vibe. Again, you mightn't have noticed it. Neptune's a transpersonal planet, so you might notice it going direct. But if you're sensitive, you might notice that you're talking more about spiritual topics to your associates or your friends or your groups. On the 13th, the new moon is in Sagittarius here in your house of intimacy and shared resources. This is a new beginning for you, and sometimes it's something to do with inheritances or legalities, but usually around death. Somebody has died, but there's some sort of new start there. It's also money or resources that you share with others, such as taxes, superannuation or 401k if you're in the US. And it's a new beginning, the start of a new cycle. Okay, it's also intimacy as well. And with Venus there in Scorpio in your 7th house of marriage, you might find your intimate life improves dramatically. Lucky you. Then we have Mercury going retrograde, which I've talked about in the intro. And Mercury retrograde, just to recap, is basically things slow down, communications get misunderstood, or misconstrued. So do watch for that. Travel plans can be an absolute, you need to leave plenty of space. But anything that you started before the 6th of December and you left, you didn't finish it, it's a great time to go back and finish that off. Okay, so Mercury will be retrograde for approximately 3 weeks. Then on the 22nd, the Sun goes into Capricorn here. And happy birthday to all early Capricornians. And this brings a lot of insight and awareness and happiness around the way that you grow your life, particularly if you're studying or researching, investigating, if you're dealing with people in foreign countries, foreign affairs, if you're looking at the spiritual world, particularly for the first time. This could make you very happy, but it does bring insight and awareness. Mercury retrograde moves into Sagittarius on the 23rd. So it was in Sag, it went into Capricorn, it went retrograde, and then it came back into Sagittarius, affecting intimacy with your closest partners, affecting your shared resources, loans, housing loans, for example, real estate, investments, as well as inheritances and those other things I mentioned before, and your intimate life. 27th sees a full moon in Cancer down here in your 3rd house, which is all about your local area, your community. It's also about promoting, marketing, publishing, and distant siblings or distant family members like cousins, for example. The full moon can bring a bit of turbulence. It can also bring the need for privacy. You need to have time by yourself, but something could be bubbling up from your subconscious. It's a time when you may be dealing more with women than usual. And in Cancer, it's all about feelings, of course. Emotions are bubbling up. So you could be feeling a bit sensitive just there, especially if you're dealing with Cancerians. Okay, then we have on the 30th, Venus goes into Sagittarius up here, joining this party up here. And this is wonderful for your intimate life. She looks after money too, Venus. So looking after money in the house of shared resources might bring more organisation around your investments or your real estate or your taxes, for example. But sometimes she encourages you to spend more money than you have. So it's not the best time to start new investments or take risks. So because, yeah, she's a bit of a spendthrift, so watch for that. 31st, Jupiter goes direct in Taurus, and basically anything that Jupiter touches, she expands. So she's in your sign. So this is the way that you approach the world. And Jupiter will be conjunct Uranus. Now, Uranus doesn't move that quickly, so Uranus is just going to creep along, inch along here. But Uranus generally spends, I think it's 8 years in each house, whereas, I'll get that right. Uranus spends 8 years in each house, whereas Jupiter only spends 12.5 months in each house. So he's going to catch up to Uranus. This is going to bring some sort of unpredictability, some volatility. It could be, because Jupiter's quite lucky, it could be something really positive that happens out of the blue. It's to do with the way that you approach the world. It's to do with your perceptions of the world and how people perceive you. It's also your body. When Jupiter's here, watch out that you don't overeat, for example. And your appearance may change in some wildly unpredictable way. You might decide to cut all your hair off, wear makeup for the first time, or something equally unusual for you. Okay, so that's it, Taurus. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, gorgeous Geminis. Well, there's not a lot happening this month, but we do have your ruler Mercury going retrograde. So this could have some quite potent effects on you. But firstly, let's draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. And we'll go to the board now. Okay, so 2 tarot cards, and the first one for the first half of the month. What do I see? I like to close my eyes. There's a ladder here, and the focus is on the ladder. So I'm looking at very fine detail in the ladder, in the way that you climb up and pull yourself out of difficult situations, and how you evolve in consciousness. So a lot of detail going on, which is sort of quite Virgoan in a sense, okay? You don't have a lot happening in Virgo other than Black Moon Lilith here, so it could be some sort of issue with a woman perhaps, but it's saying that hook or by crook that you're pulling yourself out of an uncomfortable situation. The card that comes up is the 3 of Pentacles, okay? So this might have been to do with your finances. 3 of Pentacles is often about good work that you're doing and how you're being paid for that. And it's like there's some sort of spiritual reward from working and putting your heart into something, okay? So sculpture, it's very artistic, obviously, but she's wearing gold here, so this is about the solar plexus and confidence and self-esteem. There's a lot more that comes from just getting paid for the work that you do. There's a spiritual energy around it, but there's also a very artistic or creative energy around it as well. So it's not just about the money, it's about doing a good job and feeling a sense of fulfillment in what you do. Okay, so 3 of Pentacles is the first card, and the second card that comes out for you, gorgeous Geminis, what do I see? I see a compass, like a compass and a protractor. Drawing out, planning, drafting, maybe going over something several times in order to get it just right, which is fine. Just don't go overboard. I'm just thinking with Black Moon Lilith here in Virgo in your 4th house that there could be an issue with women in your home or family, perhaps, where they're critical, because sometimes Virgo can be quite critical of whatever it is that you may be doing. So just, yeah, bear that in mind. When I close my eyes again, there's a lot of jade and emerald green precious stones here in front of me, so your heart has to be in it. The card that comes out is the Hierophant. It's a great time for learning for you, and it's almost like you already have a lot, but are you sitting on the knowledge that you already have? You have a lot of knowledge, but are you sitting on it? Can you put it to work somehow? Can you share it with somebody else and make the best use of knowledge? There's no point in being smart just for being smart's sake. You've got to do something with it. She's taking action. That's why she's wearing this red robe. And she has the Book of Life here in her lap. 2 keys, wisdom and knowledge. You need the wisdom to know how to best apply the knowledge. It's a major arcana card, so it's fairly important, and the effects can be felt for some considerable time. So it's not just this month, okay? It could be going on. Your learning might be an ongoing story in your life, and how you can share that with other people. Right, let's make this a bit bigger, and we're going to look at your horoscope now. Okay. So, gorgeous Geminis, as I mentioned, Mercury going retrograde in Capricorn. First it goes into Capricorn on the 2nd, okay, so here, and it will stay there a little while. Then Venus will go into Scorpio down here in your everyday life. And so this brings quite intense but generally positive energy interacting with other people. It could be beautiful. You may have some beautiful times with people in your normal everyday work. If you've had some health problems, there could be some improvements. Venus isn't known particularly for improving your health. However, she brings a smooth, easy-going sort of energy. So you might find that doctors and those sorts of people, allied medical professionals, are more, the relationships with them are better, are smoother, more courteous, more polite, that sort of thing. So Venus is definitely a help to your well-being and health in that way. But if you are working, doing paid work, she's great to have her in the workplace, makes the workplace more beautiful, whether that be physically or in the relationships that you have at work and in your everyday life. Neptune turns direct on the 6th up here in your career zone and your public life. This brings a very spiritual vibe. You probably wouldn't have felt it when it was not direct, when it was retrograde. You probably didn't notice that much, unless you're, of course, a psychic or somebody very sensitive to energies. But now that it's turning direct moving forward, you might find there's just a spiritual vibe around you in your career, or when you are dealing with authority figures, or maybe in your public life. On the 13th, the new moon goes into Sagittarius here, joining the sun. It will actually be down here, but there's not enough space, obviously. Joining the sun and Mars. This brings a sense of new beginnings around your relationships. So even if it's an established relationship, you may go away for the weekend or do something new together, which rejuvenates the relationship in some way. It's new beginning to do with a business partnership, might be a new product or a new procedure that you're doing in your business. Then we have Mercury retrograde, and I was getting to it on the 13th. Okay, so Mercury, your ruler's going from your partnerships, maybe legalities even here if you have any, or what's called open enemies, people you just don't get on with. And it's going from there into your house of intimacy and shared resources, and then it's going retrograde, and then it's coming back again. Okay, so Mercury retrograde, of course, misunderstandings, sometimes miscommunications. Put everything in writing if you possibly can. Not a great time for travel because there can be delays, but it is a great time to go back and revisit anything that you started before the 6th of December and you didn't quite finish. So it's a great time for that. And then on the 22nd, the sun moves into Capricorn as well. And this brings a lot of insight and awareness around your finances, your shared finances, your real estate, your shared assets that you have with other people or companies, or governments, even like taxes or superannuation or 401k if you're in the US. But the sun, it brings things to light. It does have a lot of positive and optimistic energy, however, and it's also your intimate life. So if you don't have an intimate life, you might find things improve there a bit in some way. Then we have 23rd, Mercury retrograde is then back in Sagittarius here. On the 27th, it's a full moon in Cancer in your personal house of money. Quite often when you have something going on here, it reflects or activates in the opposing house. So that is all to do with real estate and intimacy and shared resources. I was just talking about that. But here we have an effect on your personal finances with the full moon. Could bring some turbulence. It could necessitate you need to take some time out, have some privacy to go through your finances and get your finances organised. There could be something coming up in your subconscious, something going on with your finances, so the full moon is bringing it to light. Okay, on the 30th, Venus into Sagittarius, and this is a beautiful energy for your important partnerships. And if you're married or you have a significant other, then Venus here really improves things. Things are more courteous or more polite, more warm and affectionate, and it just oils the gears of relationships generally. If you have a legal matter, Venus can sometimes bring an offer in a legal matter because she looks after finances. So something could happen there. At the very least, the relationships with the lawyers are improved. But often, if you're not getting on with someone, because it's the house of what's called open enemies as well, if you're not getting on with someone, then somebody offers an olive branch, and it can improve with Venus there, which is great news. On the 31st, Jupiter turns direct here in your subconscious, and it is at 7 degrees 4 minutes, approaching Uranus at 20 degrees 21 minutes. It will take a bit of time, a few days, a week perhaps, where Jupiter gets closer to Uranus, which travels very slowly. However, it means that something unusual or unpredictable could happen. Doesn't mean it's negative, but it means that it's out of the blue. So something from your subconscious pops out. You might have a very enlightening dream. You might have some meditation that shows you the way, gives you the answer to a problem, for example, because Jupiter does bring good luck. So that's it, gorgeous Geminis. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this is useful for you. Check out your moon and your rising sign as well. Have a fabulous month. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, caring Cancerians. I've got your horoscope. A few interesting things happening. You do have the full moon in your sign, and of course we've got Mercury retrograde. Let's go to the board now. There we go. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Firstly is theme cards. So this gives an added dimension to the reading. Okay, I can see a bit of a clear out. There's like a jet of water. It's like you're having a bit of a flush out in some way. I think it's because it's water, I think it's emotions. So it could be a bit of an emotional time for you, especially around the full moon and especially at the beginning of the month as well. I'll talk more about that in your horoscope, but the card that comes up is the Hierophant. This is a major arcana card. It's pretty important. It's about learning, basically. In what way have you been sitting on your learning? Perhaps you know a lot more, and you can get that out into the public eye. The more, the better, so people can make up their own mind whether it's correct or not. We have the Book of Life here with 2 keys, knowledge and wisdom. So you need wisdom to know how to best apply your knowledge. And then she's dressed in red. Take action. So it's really quite important that you get this information out, because nobody can do it the way that you do it. There's a lot of spiritual beliefs and spiritual insight and a concern for other people. So hopefully that will motivate you. So it could go on for some time, not just this month. The Hierophant. The next one for the second half of the month, what do I see for Cancer? I see the moon, and it's in a crescent. So this is like the new moon, what I'm seeing, which is here in your 6th house. So it's just reaffirming the energy of new beginnings in your normal everyday life, but also to do with your health and also to do with your work, whatever that may be. And it's irregardless or regardless of whether it's paid work or not, doesn't matter. All right, the card that comes up is the 4 of Cups. This suggests that there's some sort of sadness or despondency, and I want to say it's to do with your normal everyday life. Do you feel like in some way that you haven't quite made the grade, it's your fault, or that you don't deserve? So these are old belief systems that are hanging around. It's like there's a relationship in the past, or maybe it's even ongoing now, and there's a really spiritual connection with this person. However, to manifest that onto the physical level is very difficult. Spirit is literally handing you a gift. They want you to deal with this situation so that you can move on. She's wearing a gold skirt here, which suggests that it's to do perhaps with fatherhood issues from your childhood. She's got green on, so there's some growth. You can get some growth and juice out of this situation and come up with ultimate success. So it probably is some sort of love relationship that has caused this sadness at some point. And you might just be having memories come back from the past about a previous relationship. All right, so they're your 2 cards for this month. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger for you, like that. First thing to note is we do have a T-square starting the month. The moon is not full on the first of the month. So because it is the moon, however, it travels very fast. So this is literally for hours on the first of the month. It's opposing Pluto, which is very transformative. Something could come up from very deep in your psyche around the first of the month. I would say just take it easy, allow plenty of time. Don't put yourself under additional stress on that date. And both of these planets, the moon is regarded as a planet, and Pluto are sending their energy or focusing their energy towards Venus in your home and family, which is very, very important to you. Your home and your family are sort of like keywords for the Cancerian sign. So with Venus there, who loves love, there could be some sort of disappointment around the home or the family that you're remembering, and it may involve a spouse or a partner, a husband or wife here in the 7th house, and it also involves your sense of self-esteem, yourself basically, your true self is involved in this. So that's the first. And then we have Mercury in Capricorn on the 13th, which I'll talk about that. It will be retrograde, and Venus in Scorpio in your normal everyday life. I'll talk about that because that can be pretty significant too. The second, Mercury goes into Capricorn here, and this brings a lot of communications and ideas, intellectual, or I'll say intellectualization actually, of the way that you put those ideas to significant partners. So it's like you want to have some discussion, perhaps. On the 5th, Venus into Scorpio here brings a very beautiful, courteous, polite sort of energy to your normal everyday life. You'll find your general relationships or your relationships at work, if you're working, are flowing better than usual. It's a great time for meeting new people, especially beautiful people, through your routine or through your work. And they could be beautiful not only on the outside, but more importantly on the inside. So Venus here is a real help. If you do have health problems, you might find that medical people, doctors, nurses, allied health professionals are very helpful, and there's some sort of compromise or some sort of offer. It's going better than you expected. We have Neptune direct on the 6th up here in your 9th house, very spiritual sort of energy in the way that you're growing your life in the world, you're growing your horizons. You might be thinking about some sort of spiritual training or traveling, and it's got a spiritual vibe to the travel, particularly overseas. The new moon goes into Sagittarius on the 13th as well here, again in your work, your routine, or to do with your health. This brings new beginnings. So this is very positive sort of energy going on here, and you're likely to have a lot of energy for getting stuff done, and people are just helpful to you. Then we have Mercury going retrograde on the 13th as well. Now, Mercury's in Capricorn at this stage, so the only thing is you have to be a little bit cautious with the discussions that you have with significant partners or significant relationships. So these might be business or personal, could be your husband, could be your business partner, or perhaps somebody that you work with, that you've worked with for a long time and you have a close relationship with, who is like a partner in some way. Like, for example, police, they go out, they have partners. I don't know in Australia, but in America, that's the case, they have partners. So it's somebody quite close to you. Just be careful of misunderstandings and delays with Mercury retrograde. It's not the best time to sign a contract. It is a great time for finishing anything that you started before the 6th of December, but you didn't get around to finishing. On the 22nd, the Sun also jumps into the partnership house, and this brings an awareness. Perhaps there's a feeling of relief because you finally understand what is happening, and you get some information that helps you perhaps get over this sadness, moves the sadness along, because this is in the second half of the month, more or less. The 23rd, then we see Mercury, which is already retrograde, jumping back into Sagittarius, into your normal routine and your work or perhaps your health. So just be careful of misunderstandings on that day. On the 27th, the full moon, which is your ruler, is here in your sign. So this is your general temperament, how other people view you while you're out in the world. And there might be a lot of emotions coming up, and you might need to have some time out. Privacy might be particularly important. The other thing that may come about with this is there might be a lot of close sort of contact with women, and as you're processing emotions, basically. On the 30th, Venus goes into Sagittarius as well, bringing this beautiful, everyday sort of politeness, courtesy, smooth flowing energy with most of your casual or general types of relationships, the people that you interact with at work or the people that you interact with on a daily basis. So it brings beauty, it brings art, it brings justice and fair play. So that's lovely. And on the 31st, Jupiter turns direct in Taurus here, and this suggests that there might be some growth in your contacts, your associates, your friends. You could meet new people and they become friends. As Jupiter moves more quickly than Uranus, it's approaching Uranus, so maybe in a week or so after the 31st, so into January, there's something here with Uranus that suggests that something unpredictable or unexpected happens, but it's probably beneficial because Jupiter brings good luck. You could meet some wonderful people out of the blue, like a lightning bolt. It's like a stroke of good luck. You may also consider joining a group that you never thought you would join, and go horseback riding or do photography or calligraphy or something that you wouldn't normally do, but it's very beneficial to you. So do keep an eye out for that, the end of the month, but probably around the first week in January, I would say. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out your sun, this was your sun sign, perhaps, but your moon and rising sign as well, because that will give you additional viewpoints and understanding into what's happening for you in December. Have a great month. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, lovely Leo. A bit of a quieter month this month, but we do have Mercury going retrograde and a couple of other things that you may find particularly interesting. Alrighty, first I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. So let's go to the board now and then we'll have a look at your horoscope in depth. So the first half of the month, what do I see for Leo? It's like walking down a path. There's not a lot of light here, but it's not actually dark. The words I get is don't stub your toe. So this implies to me that if you're too determined or your ego is closely involved in something, too closely involved in something, that you could get a wake-up call. So do be cautious. Go slowly, go carefully, go thoughtfully. Don't rush into things because you just don't have enough light at the moment to see what is happening in your life. The card that comes up is the King of Cups. You could be around, this could be you, or alternatively you could be around somebody like this. It's usually a mature person, possibly a man or a woman who is post-menopause, who has a good degree of masculine energy, and usually has the balance worked out between masculine and feminine. You'll see the King of Cups here is very much into his or her intuition because of this colour, and there's a great preponderance of this colour, this indigo, with gold around their throat. So they talk and walk the things that they say. They're talking from experience. You can generally trust them. They're normally trustworthy people, and they've got a lot of experience that they can help you with. You'll see he's seated on a clamshell, seated on a shell, and has a clamshell at the back with the ocean here. So that's like being in touch with the subconscious, being in touch with the emotions. But they're not overly emotional, if that makes sense. They're in touch, but it's like they master their emotions. They've got to the point in life where they can be practical when they need to be practical, and they can, because here on the foreshore, that's where they're seated. They've got their feet on the ground, but we still have the emotions and the subconscious here in the background. So they're very much in touch with that. The sun brings insight and awareness. It's the source of all life. So they have some life-affirming energy. You may meet somebody like this. You may deal with somebody like this. If not, then this may come up out of your subconscious. It could be you. Well done. That's the first half of the month. They will help you too. Now, the second half of the month, what do I see around you, Leo? You might feel like you're about to take a leap into something, like you're on the precipice, you're about to jump into something. Timing seems particularly important. I can see this little vision, and the sun is going down, and so again, it's that sort of lack of light. Do you really want to jump into something when the timing isn't ideal? So maybe take a bit of a break for a little while. Maybe when the sun is coming up is a better time to jump into something new, which means it's coming, but it's not here yet. Let's have a look and see what card we get. The King of Swords. Do be cautious here. This energy is somebody who is quite smart, very intellectual. They have the ability to cut through to the core of the argument or the core of the issue. Often it's somebody like a lawyer. It can be male or female, but traditionally it was a male energy. But of course these days women have more masculine energy than ever before. I think that's a good thing because you need it basically. You need to think intellectually, especially where money is involved. However, the only possible downside with this card is often they don't run things through a human heart. Empathy is really important. We need this energy and we need to balance it with empathy. So you've got the King of Cups here and the King of Swords. They're more or less directly opposite. If you get the balance of both, you'll be laughing. There's something practical, I'm just feeling there's something very practical you need to deal with, and you need to be thinking logically and analytically, and you need to be looking at your feelings and feeling your feelings and getting the balance between both worlds. Because if you just go with one and not the other, you're not going to be entirely happy. Let's make this bigger, like that. You've got some challenging aspects. And the 1st of December, the first thing is there's a T-square, but there's also a minor grand trine here. It's a type of talent triangle involving skills and creativity, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But first, T-square. The moon is in your 12th house, the house of the subconscious. You could be feeling more emotional than usual. You could have, there's a need for privacy. There's a need to look at your emotions on the 1st of the month. They could come out, otherwise it could come out in your communications with people. You might sound emotional and you don't realise you do because they come out unconsciously, particularly where women are involved. We also have Pluto over here in your house of routine, your house of ordinary everyday work. So this could be a work matter or what you do on a daily basis, which could be all shook up at the moment and not your routine. Maybe you're not in a routine at the moment, but there's challenges around your routine. So maybe work out a new schedule for routine. It's important to get that right. So it's just challenges on the first day of the month because the moon moves very fast. So it will be out of there by the 2nd. It's only hours that we're talking about, really, and it'll be into your sign. So just bear that in mind. However, on the upside, we've got this beautiful minor grand trine here with Saturn. So it's around the intimacy or the assets or resources that you share with other people or organisations or governments. And it is trine your communications. It's trine Venus here. So there's a beautiful flowing sort of energy in your communications. It's very polite. and it's also to do with any study you might be thinking of taking on board, although any study is probably not like a degree or any formal sort of study. It's more ad hoc type short courses or just general learning. We also have Mercury here in your 5th house, a lot of communications and ideas around this, and it brings out your creativity. So this could be like some sort of campaign, like a media campaign, email campaign, could be somewhere where you get to showcase your skills and abilities in a creative way, and the structure of Saturn here and the beauty of Venus are all coming together to help you be creative. So that's nice. Alrighty, now let's have a look at your horoscope in depth. On the 2nd, Mercury moves into Capricorn in your normal everyday life, and so there's a lot of communications, travel. You could be darting about here and there, and again your routine. It could be shopping involved because Mercury also rules over transactions. So Venus goes into Scorpio on the 5th here. Scorpio? Here, sorry, this one. So it's moving from Libra into Scorpio, yes, and then later it will move into Sagittarius. So beautiful energy around your home and family. Peaceful, calm, polite, loving, affectionate, warm, all of those things. So lovely vibe in the family at that time. Neptune turns direct on the 6th here, bringing a more spiritual vibe to your intimacy, if you have any, or even intimate close friends. There's a more spiritual vibe. And also anything to do with shared resources, just be cautious there, because Neptune's not good with money or with investments. It's not the best time to invest with Neptune in that home. Sometimes there's something to do with inheritances or wills there in the 8th house as well. You might find you're having interesting dreams, or your meditations are bringing up plenty of info for you to think about. Then we have the new moon into Sagittarius on the 13th here, bringing new beginnings to your creativity. You might feel like socialising as well, leisure and pleasure. Maybe you're going out more, having more fun than usual, which is always a good thing. On the 22nd, the Sun moves into Capricorn as well, bringing insight and awareness, happiness, even happiness in your normal everyday routine. As I said, you need to get a routine first, but when you do, then you'll feel more comfortable, you'll know where you are. On the 23rd, Mercury is retrograde and it goes into Sagittarius. So Mercury was in Sag, it moves into Capricorn, it goes retrograde, and then it moves back into Sagittarius, bringing some sort of miscommunications or delays with your creativity, with any leisure and pleasure. So if you have things booked, check your scheduling that you haven't got the wrong time or the wrong date, for example. Mercury will be retrograde for about 3 weeks. So just watch that. On the 27th, the full moon is in Cancer in your subconscious. Again, giving a bit of a shake-up there. Sometimes it feels a bit turbulent. You might feel a bit sort of shaken up, but you don't know why, because it's deep down inside you. So it's not in your head necessarily until you start looking, and then you might figure out there's this bit of a shake-up in your subconscious going on. Women could be involved. You need plenty of privacy while this is going on. It's not a good idea to take on too much at that time. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius here, bringing beauty, love, affection with your friends, with your creativity. And you could be living closer to the world of the child. Maybe you have more to do with children, or alternatively, you make friends with your inner child, and that is beautiful. And you feel quite good. You feel much better. The 31st scene sees Jupiter going direct, and Jupiter's up here in your house of career. So it's the end of the month. If you found that your career has been all over the show, it's the end of the month that Jupiter moves direct, and then things start to expand. you start to see what you're supposed to do, and it's your life mission, because fairly soon Jupiter will be conjunct your MC, which is conjunct your Uranus as well. So this is going to bring an enlargement in your career after the 31st of December. So going into January, you could change jobs, you could somehow add an extra to what you do, and it's going to be something unusual, maybe not what you would normally do. You might have said even at some point, oh no, I wouldn't do that, and now you're going and doing it. Because that's how Uranus works. Something unpredictable, something unusual. It's part of your life direction. So even if you don't do it for a long time, it's going to be important to your overall life mission. Things are changing for you on the career front, and after January it's going to be quite rapid or quite unusual, unpredictable, volatile, those sorts of words. It's in Taurus, it's about the money, honey, and it's also about being organised and structured, getting your life back into order. That's what you need to do. I hope that's clear. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign as well for a fuller picture. Have a great month. Thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, Vivacious Virgo. I've got your December horoscope. A bit of a quieter month, except for we do have Mercury going retrograde, and as Mercury is your ruler, this will affect you. Let's go to the board now, and I'll draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. So, first half of the month is what we're looking at. And closing my eyes, what do I see? All right, ladders to success. It means basically this ladder going up in the sky. It means that you're evolving in consciousness and you're going higher. Some of you may be feeling tired because basically climbing up ladders is hard work and tiring work. So take a break. You don't have to keep pushing yourself all the time. The card that comes out is the 4 of Cups. There could be some feelings of despondency or sadness. Maybe you just don't feel like things are going that well at the moment. Alternatively, there could be some memories coming back about past relationships or even current relationships, because see here the red rose. The Cups is all about your emotions and they're rising to the surface. At some point you may have had a very spiritual connection with somebody. However, it hasn't manifested that well on the physical plane. The good news is that Spirit is literally handing you a gift, and you may see here that there's a whole lot of butterflies around her head, depending on your monitor, your device, but there is. So this means new thoughts are coming in because of the sadness or the despondency that you feel about the situation that didn't work out as you would have liked. Properly, I was going to say, but it's more what you desired. Your desires weren't fulfilled in the way that you wanted them to be. There's some new ideas coming in, so that's a good thing, because you can change your patterns, change your behaviour. That's the first half of the month. And the second half, what do I see for Virgo? A castle in the sky, and there's clouds all around the bottom of it. And so these are your hopes and dreams that you build in your mind. And your mind is very important because being ruled by Mercury, it's quite an intellectual and analytical type of planet. And so it's important to be able to work things out logically in your mind. It might be that your logic saves you in some way. The card that comes out is the Ace of Wands. Beautiful for new beginnings, feeling motivated, feeling inspired. You may not feel like that right at the very moment. However, this does indicate you'll meet somebody like that, or you'll find it in yourself, a whole lot of growth. And here we have the crown again with a whole lot of tiny green little buds that you can hardly see. You see the clouds in the background, so that's saying the environment or the situation in the background isn't that great. However, here in the present and in the future, the buds will start to bloom. A mountain in the background for challenges. You're moving away from that now. Spirit is handing you the ability to think analytically about what happened and how you can start a new beginning where you're feeling motivated and positive and optimistic. All right, bear those two cards in mind, and we're going to look at your horoscope now. Make it a bit bigger. There we go. All right, so just some little notes here on the side. Your ruler Mercury is going retrograde in Capricorn on the 13th, so I'll cover that. Venus in Scorpio and Sagittarius, I'll cover that. And for you, dear Virgo, there's no real aspect patterns to start the month. Now, some people would say, oh, look at this T-square here. That's actually the ascendant there. Saturn is here on the descendant, so Saturn on the descendant implies that there's some kind of restriction or limitation around relationships or significant partners, hence this card here. So it's important just to note that. But it's not a true T-square because the ascendant is a man-made angle. It's not a planet, so that doesn't count. So no real aspect patterns. So looking at your horoscope in depth, Mercury into Capricorn on the 2nd here, your ruling planet, where are we? Mercury into Capricorn here, into your 5th house of creativity, leisure and pleasure, the world of the child, even romance. There could be a lot of discussions about romance and going out socialising, having a fun time, and also some thought. You might be giving it a lot of thought. On the 5th, Venus goes into Scorpio, which is great for passion. So again, here could be a lot of discussions about romance, and it could be quite sort of passionate or even sexy, because here in the 3rd house is all about communications, and you might find it a very active month this month with all your discussions and conversations about these things. Venus will move on to Sagittarius in your 4th house, and this is likely to bring a beautiful kind of contentment, the feeling at home. Your home is your sanctuary with your family, if you have one. It's likely to be a smooth going, polite, loving, affectionate, warm energy happening there. And that will be on the 5th. On the 6th, Neptune turns direct. Where are we? Here. So it's turning direct in your 7th house, bringing a very spiritual vibe to your conversations or your relationships, the important relationships, your partner, your husband, wife, your business partner perhaps, or even people that you've worked with for a very long time and they're like partners. So the only thing with Neptune though, sometimes it's a bit idealistic. So do make sure you're not viewing that relationship with rose-coloured glasses. If you get too idealistic, that's where the disappointment can come, if your expectations are too idealistic. The new moon goes into Sagittarius on the 13th in your house of home and family, bringing new beginnings, maybe socialising with close friends that are like family, or if you have kids that live away, they may come home, but there's like a new beginning or a rejuvenation at home or in your family life. Maybe you're thinking about redecorating or doing something like that. Then we have Mercury retrograde on the 13th, and it's in Capricorn here. Do be careful of misunderstandings, particularly when you're socialising, or delays. If you have appointments to go out, or you're going out with friends or something like that, just check if you're going to a restaurant that it's been booked correctly. Sometimes there's mistakes like that can be made. Or if you're going to meet up somewhere, just double check in writing, send an email and double check that you've got the right day and the right time with Mercury here. Any travel plans can also be disrupted. However, on the positive side, anything that you started before the 6th of the month and you just put it to the side because you ran out of energy or time or whatever, it's great to pick that up again and run with that. Mercury will help you complete old projects, for example. So it's not all bad news. The sun moves into Capricorn on the 22nd here, bringing again insight and awareness to whatever meetings or whatever social events you may have. It brings happiness. It's great for romance too in the 5th house here. In Capricorn, it's likely to be more practical rather than romantic, though, I must say. And any romance is likely to be sort of restrained or toned down. So it's not going to be necessarily, while passionate love, although it could be. There's always opportunity for that, but depending on your chart. However, it brings like a quieter happiness and contentment in Capricorn. Hope that's clear. Hope I didn't muddle that explanation up. The 27th sees a full moon in Cancer. So the 11th house is all about your friends, groups, associates, your hopes and dreams. And a full moon comes to shine a light on something in your subconscious in regard to these areas of your life. So it could be some sort of shake-up with your friends, particularly if they're women, could involve women. It's important that you get plenty of privacy, and here you've got the energy to go out, but maybe don't go out too much. You need to balance it, of course, because these two houses are opposite. They can activate each other. So that's around the 27th. Yeah, just have a little bit of time out there if you can. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius here. Again, home and family, and this, if you were thinking about redecorating or beautifying your home before, when the new moon started, when Venus moves in, you'll likely run with it, because she loves beauty and she wants your home to be beautiful. She wants your relationships with your family to be beautiful and your home to be like a sanctuary. So there's probably a lot of changes that are going to go on there, and they're probably all for the best. Jupiter is direct in Taurus on the 31st up here, and this is in your 9th house of expanding your mind, house of the higher mind this is called. And so you could be looking at studying, you could be looking at traveling, philosophy, spirituality, anything to make you think more and to really expand your horizons. Especially with Jupiter, it's very optimistic, it's positive, and it brings good luck. Now, after this date, 31st of December, so a week or two after that into January, Jupiter's going to be approaching Uranus, and they will be conjunct. And so this will probably mean that something unpredictable or unexpected will happen. But because Jupiter's involved, it's probably very positive. So you might decide out of the blue that you're traveling overseas. You might have some realization, a spiritual realization of what you're supposed to do in life and how you can broaden your horizons. So I think this could be quite a positive thing. But of course, we'll look at that more closely in January. All right, Virgo, I hope this is useful for you. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to check out your moon and rising sign as well. Have a wonderful month. Thanks, and bye for now. Hello and welcome, lovely Libra. I've got your December 23 horoscope. Not as full on as what it has been, thankfully. Let's go to the board now, and I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. So closing my eyes for the first half of the month. There's a window here. It's light where I am, but it's dark on the other side. So there's a window of opportunity. So that means that it's a certain time frame. You should act quickly if you can. However, you don't know what's going to happen. It's like you're looking for a particular outcome, but you don't know if that will happen. Now, this is a bit weird. Oh my gosh. So you've just turned into a builder because you've got a saw and you're going to cut the window and you're going to make it larger. So the time is not enough time, or something going on, and you need to make the window of opportunity larger. It's just not enough time to do everything, basically. I can relate to that so much. I've got so many things to do. I don't know what to do first, basically. The card that comes out is the Six of Wands. This is wonderful. You're likely to be recognised in some way, or you meet with approval from people. There's some accolades or rewards or some kind words coming your way where people realise, hey, you're really working hard. So even if you don't work, as in paid work, this could be voluntary work, it could be your normal everyday routine, but you are getting things done. So don't be hard on yourself and say, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. It's all going to work out fine. But certainly Spirit is very impressed with what you've been doing, and the Gold Logie Award. I don't know what you call it in the US, but I'm not up with my US TV awards or film awards. In Australia, the Logies are the TV awards. It feels more like a TV kind of thing rather than a great big huge big budget production. So it's maybe a lot of small things that you have to do, but together they all add up, and it's a lot of effort, a lot of work over some considerable time period. So it's not just December you'll be working, you've already been doing a lot, and there's more to come that will probably go well into January. Oh. Well, I didn't even get to do anything. This one just jumped out, as you saw. Moving away from a difficult situation, you might have been feeling quite emotional about some situations that were hard to handle. However, this is good news because you're making progress, retreating from emotional involvement in certain circumstances and just getting on and doing what you have to do. Don't get involved with people's petty disputes or petty issues that, to be quite honest, brutally honest, they're beneath you. Do not waste your time. You've got too much important stuff to do rather than get involved in people's petty carry on. What can I say? So there are your cards. Now let's have a look at your horoscope in depth. There we go. No major aspect patterns. Now, if a little bit about astrology, you might say, hang on a minute, here's a T-square here, but because that is the ascendant, it's a man-made angle. It's not a planet. So this involved in the ascendant, Mercury and Neptune, that looks like a T-square shape, is really not a T-square. So there's no real aspect pattern. So that's another thing off your shoulders. You don't have to worry about that. Your ruler Venus will be going into Scorpio and Sagittarius. In Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio, this could be fabulous for your love life here, but because it's in your second house of finances, it's probably about your money, because Venus loves to spend money on beautiful things. So she might be encouraging you, and if you can afford it, go for it, if that's what you want to do. If you don't have much money at the moment, be careful of your spending in December. And with Christmas around the corner, there might be a real temptation to overspend. So do watch for that. So the other thing is Mercury going retrograde in Capricorn. I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's go through your horoscope in depth. The second Mercury moves into Capricorn, bringing some very solid communications around probably your home and family, and there's a level of practicality here. There's some brilliant ideas that you're having. They're more about, it could be construction, building, fencing, even if it's landscape gardening, which Venus would love you to do that to beautify your home. It's more about the money with Venus and overspending, so do watch that. But some very solid practical considerations around your home and family, and there's discussions and brilliant ideas around it. On the 5th, Venus into Scorpio, I've talked about already, and then on the 6th, Neptune turns direct, and you could be feeling more spiritual, particularly in your everyday life or at work. And the thing here is that Neptune in your 6th house of health as well as work and daily routine, just watch your health, because Neptune can be a bit like walking in the fog and not knowing where you're going. So there might be some confusion in your mind, but also in your physical body, it can bring delicate health. So just don't do no bungee jumping this month. if you don't want to. Sees a new moon in Sagittarius here, bringing new beginnings in your communications. It's a great time for promoting yourself, for promoting your business, doing some marketing, doing some email campaigns out to your clients and that sort of thing. New ideas in your communications and in your thoughts. Perhaps some study. You might be thinking about some study in the third house. It's probably not an ongoing thing. It's probably like research, investigation, but just learning something that tends to be not all encompassing and probably not going to go on for many months. Then we have, what did I get up to? Mercury going retrograde on the 13th in Capricorn here. So what's going to happen is Mercury's in Sagittarius, it moves into Capricorn, it goes retrograde in Capricorn, and then it moves back into Sagittarius, which I'll talk about in a minute. But retrograde, so the potential for miscommunications and misunderstandings is there. The potential for problems with travel, the potential for problems with technology and even shopping or transactions. Watch your transactions that you get charged the right amount for whatever it is that you buy. Do check your credit card statements. In Australia, there's a thing apparently that people don't really check their credit card transactions on their statements. I don't understand it. I do. I mightn't do it every month, but when I do it, I'll go back and I check for a couple of months at a time and just check everything looks right, because you never know. Sometimes there's things there you don't know what they are, and there's a potential this month for something like that. Oh, I'm getting an alert in my head. Scams, especially, I don't know in other countries, but in Australia they're off the chart now. So cyber scams, Australia is being targeted very, very heavily by scammers and organised crime. And there are over 250 million cyber attacks on Australia every single month. It's just mind-boggling, that number, 250 million every single month. Please be careful. Do not click on links. If you have a mobile phone and you do banking on your phone, reconsider. I know the banks tell you it's safer, but is it? I don't use my phone for banking. That's just me because I'm old-fashioned in that way, which, considering the amount of technology I have to deal with, it's a bit strange for me. But yeah, please be careful. And that's Mercury is the trickster. Remember that energy scamming is associated with Mercury, so do watch for that. Right, I'm probably getting a bit carried away there because I am a Libran myself. So on the 22nd, the Sun moves into Capricorn here, bringing a lot of insight and awareness around your home and family. And you might even feel not only safe and comfortable and content, you might even feel a bit happy. You could have visitors that you haven't seen for a long time, including family that live away or something like that. So that's good news. 23rd, Mercury retrograde into Sagittarius as well. So instead of just your things happening around the home and family with Mercury retrograde, it could affect your general communications, your study, and your relatives that are quite distant, siblings, particularly those who live away. So there's something that could go on where there's a planned family get-together, for example, and Mercury retrograde mucks up the arrangements. So put everything in writing if you're planning something like that, because you can see here the family seems to be involved, and then it goes back into Sagittarius and it's your general communications. 27th, full moon in Cancer up here, a bit of a shake-up in your career or with authority figures. It's like, especially women, it's like there's something coming up from your subconscious that needs to be dealt with, and a light is shining on different issues with authority figures, perhaps a parent or somebody like a parent, acts like a parent, or they think they can control you in some way, or to do with your career. In Cancer, it's likely to be quite emotional. You might find it a very emotional time. On the other hand, whatever it is that you're dealing with there, I just get a big victory sign in front of me. It's actually the semi-sextile sign in astrology, which is like a V for victory. That's how I remember it. It's not the hugest thing in the world, but it is something that is quite emotional for you. So it's something you're going to deal with. So I do feel like ultimate victory is there. It might be the type of victory where you say, oh, such a relief, let's get on with it now. Where are we up to? Venus in Sagittarius on the 30th here, bringing lovely tone to your communications, even though Mercury is still retrograde. It's retrograde from about the 13th for about 3 weeks. I didn't look at the date. No, sorry, I didn't look at the date. I should have. It's about 3 weeks anyway. So Venus helps smooth things over, basically. On the 31st, Jupiter is turning direct in Taurus up here. This is an expansion around your shared resources that you share with another. It could be a person, it could be an agency, a government agency, or even a large company, but something that you share, maybe loans, taxes, inheritances, superannuation. You're likely to get a boost. Something is going to happen at the end of the month of December, which is like fabulous for moving you forward and helping you. If you're in business and you're a Libran, I feel like 2024 is going to be a big boost for you. I'll be doing the 2024 horoscopes shortly, so do check that out, because I just feel like your business is going to get even stronger and go from strength to strength if you're in business. If you're not in business and you work for somebody else, there's still a benefit there. I feel like it's a big benefit if you're in business. If you're working for somebody else, it's a somewhat smaller benefit. But if you're working for somebody else who's a Libran, well, then it's a big benefit, if that makes sense. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, check out your rising and moon sign as well. Have a wonderful month, dear Libra. Bye for now. Hello, sensational Scorpio. A somewhat quieter month this month. However, we do have Mercury going retrograde. But good news is that Venus is going into your sign, so I'll talk about that. Firstly, what I'll do is draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. So let's go to the board now and do that before we look at your horoscope in depth. All right, first half of the month for Scorpio. There's something here about staples, attaching, fixing, rectifying, adding to something. What else do I see? And some seashells, so reminiscent of the ocean, listening to your subconscious basically. You can hear the sea when you put the seashells up to your ear, so they used to say. The card that comes out is the 2 of Swords, some decisions to be made. Okay, just bear in mind that whatever decisions you make, you bring your past with you. So reflections of the past and similar situations may influence the way you make decisions, but that's not a bad thing necessarily, and everybody has to deal with the same things. So a choice coming up for you in December. And in the second half of December, what do I see? The ocean is here, and then it changes to like light in the sky. So something going on in your subconscious which is coming up, and then you gain awareness in your mind and you start to understand whatever it is. So the card that comes up is the Fool card, a major arcana card. It's about you stepping out into a new reality. Are you prepared to take the risk and step off the promontory here? It may look illogical on the surface, and because of that, friends and family may be trying to hold you back from going down a certain path, but only you can decide. Sometimes the universe smiles at people who will take a risk not knowing how it's going to turn out. Action has to be undertaken as you take this step forward. And green, of course, is all about growth. Now, you could sprout wings and fly, or you may end up in the drink. Even if you end up in the drink, you've still had an experience that you're going to learn from, and there are often rewards, hidden rewards, sunken treasure chests that you can find in your subconscious as a result. This is a process that's going on for some considerable time, not just December, but setting you up for a change in direction in life. Your MC here is conjunct the moon on the 1st of December. Moon moves really quickly, so it'll only be here a day. But that is about your life direction. You might be thinking about what you want to do with the rest of your life. And then the full moon comes along later and casts a light again on the direction of your life. I think you might want to change some things, or many of you will at least. Let's make this bigger, like that, so you can see it. Now, your astrology. The 2nd of the month sees Mercury into Capricorn, which is here. Mercury moves from Sag into Capricorn. So there's a lot of discussions and brilliant new ideas. Could involve your local area, could involve distant family members, siblings, cousins, people like that. Even some sort of studying. Mercury is quite analytical and loves to study and look at ideas and understand, comprehend things. So that could be going on. Then on the 5th, Venus moves into Scorpio. Now Venus, Scorpio here, in your sign. So this is quite significant because it could affect your appearance, it could affect your belief systems, how you present to the world, and your general temperament or your general personality. And in Venus, it's likely to be beautiful, polite, courteous, graceful, and attractive. So it's lovely to have Venus there. You could attract new people into your world, basically, by the Venusian aura that you give off is quite attractive. On the 6th, Neptune turns direct here. Most people won't feel this, but if you are a psychic or you are intuitive or sensitive, you may feel a bit of a spiritual vibe, particularly when you're socializing with other people or when you're dealing with children. It might come out, or even your own inner child. Then we have on the 13th the new moon going into Sagittarius here, bringing new beginnings around your finances. This could be quite positive because the 2nd house Sagittarius here is ruled by Jupiter, which is turning direct as well on the 31st of the month. And Jupiter is here in your 7th house of committed relationships, so they could expand in some way, become bigger, larger than life, or rejuvenated, but it's basically quite a lucky influence. Then on the 13th, Mercury goes retrograde, and that's here again in your 2nd house, but it won't be for terribly long in your 2nd house because it actually moves into your 3rd house on the 23rd, 10 days later. So it's here in your 2nd house, which could mean miscommunications or delays around personal finances or possessions, or maybe the things that you believe. Then it goes into Capricorn. It's there, it goes into Capricorn, then it goes retrograde, and then it goes back into your house of money and possessions. So any communications about your personal finances, do be cautious. It's not a great time to buy things. You might find if you order something, it comes in the wrong colour, or the price is wrong, or there's some issue like that. It's not great for travel either, but there in your 2nd house, it's probably about transactions because Mercury does rule over banking transactions. Also, it is associated with scams and the trickster energy. So be especially careful with Mercury there in your 2nd house, and anything that you click on, do not click and give it plenty of thought. You got all the time that you need. You do not have to click straight away. And if it's have a look at where the link actually goes to. Do you recognize the link, the address of the link? Because often they're quite mangled up. It may not be the address of the company you think it is. Be extra careful there. On the 22nd, the Sun goes into Capricorn as well, bringing a lot of insight and awareness, stability, comfort around your communications, any promotions or marketing you might be doing, any study, research, investigations. The sun will help you out. And also with distant family members and your local community. There could be comings and goings which are happy times for you. The 23rd, Mercury then goes back into Sag, which I just talked about. The 27th, the full moon is in Cancer up here, shining a light on the need for you to expand your life in some way. Now on the first, the moon, it wasn't a full moon, it was just in its normal phases that it goes through, and it was conjunct your MC, the life direction or life mission, and that only happens for like a day. So you might have found around the first, early in the month, that you were thinking about your life direction. Now the full moon is here, and very quickly it's going to conjunct your MC. It's going to move up to there, and it'll be on your mind most probably. What do you want to do with the rest of your life? And if you're in a career, do you want to stay there? Do you want to move? Do you want to travel? Do you want to study? Especially things like philosophy and spirituality. There could also be a lot more to do with other countries and foreign people. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius here. Again, it's about your money, and I talked about that before, but be careful you don't overspend with Venus there. On the 31st, I talked about that. Jupiter goes direct here, expanding and rejuvenating your significant relationships, especially your partners. So that's it. I hope this is useful for you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful month. Thank you. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, Savvy Sagittarius. I've got your December 2023 horoscope. We're almost at the end of the year. Amazing it is to me how quickly things are travelling along. It's a bit of a quieter month, but for you it is quite a meaningful month. Your ruler Jupiter is turning direct. Blessings could be yours this month. Let's find out more. First, I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you for the month. We'll go to the board now and do that first before we look at your horoscope in depth. I'm closing my eyes now. Look, the door is here. There's something, it's like knocking on the door. It hasn't opened yet. This is an opportunity or a direction that you want your life to go in. And you might have been thinking about this for some considerable time, but it just hasn't been the right time for something to open up to you. It's like upstairs is hearing you, and now what I'm seeing are rows and rows of coins, or columns I should say, columns of coins going up really fast in front of me. So it's like the transformational energy is building up. It's not quite right yet, but it's coming. So let's have a look and see what we get. The first card is the Judgment card. This is very significant because when you make a judgment, you limit your options. So you might decide that I've got 2 things to choose from, A and B. Which shall I choose? Whichever one you choose, you cut out the other. And so making a decision limits your options in some way. And in part of that decision-making process, often we make judgments. So judgments are not just about observing whatever the action is. It's also to do with the feeling, the emotion that's attached to the judgment. So if you just observe something, it's just a fact and you don't have any emotional import about it. Once you start feeling emotions around something, then you're making a judgment. It's just a good thing to know. It doesn't mean necessarily that making a judgment about something, making a decision, then coming from that judgment doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's a thing to be aware of. Now, the problem starts when you start making judgments about other people. You've put them into a box, basically. And then even worse than that is we do that with ourselves regularly. And so we're limiting our options down all the time, every time we put ourselves in a box. So just be aware of that. The angels are watching out over the judgments and the decisions that we all make. It's a major arcana card. It's fairly important. It doesn't just relate to the month of December. You could be looking at this issue for a long time, months, even years. slowly, little by little, you can stop making judgments that are, what would you say, difficult or not good for other people or for yourself. Let's have a look and see what the second half of the month is. The Ace of Wands. There's a freeing up of energy once you realize what's been going on with your judgments and decisions. Then there's a freeing up of energy, and the Ace of Wands is here, giving you a lot of inspiration and motivation to start new things, new projects. Spirit is helping you with this, a lot of growth. And here the crown, in the crown chakra, actually has got lots of little green buds for growth, new thoughts coming through. Yes, there's some challenges in the background, there always are. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do what you really want to do and what you've got your heart set on. So starting a new cycle, which is always fabulous. All right, now let's look at your horoscope in depth. Savvy Sag. First thing to note is this monogram trine here between Mars, Pluto and Neptune. And Pluto is very transformational, and it's the focal point of the triangle. So the energies of Mars in your sign and Neptune in Pisces are funneling towards Pluto, helping the transformation take place. Mars is very energetic and bold. And there in your sign, it's about how you present to the world and your general temperament or your general personality and even your appearance. So those energies could get tied up somehow with transformation around your personal finances, your possessions, or maybe even your belief systems, what you believe in, what you value. And there's a real spiritual energy around it as well, to do with your home and your family. So this is a type of talent triangle, so it brings some creativity in transforming your finances. So that's good news. Your ruler, Jupiter, direct, I'll talk about that. Mercury going retrograde and Venus in Scorpio and then in your sign. I'll talk about that. Now, let's get on. On the 2nd, Mercury goes into Capricorn just here. Lots of discussion and new ideas around your personal finances, adding to this energy with Pluto I was just talking about. And then on the 5th, Venus goes into Scorpio here, here, and then it'll go into your sign. Venus in Scorpio is in your subconscious. It's deep down, so you might have some really nice dreams, or even loving, affectionate, beautiful dreams possible. However, you could unconsciously spend money or unconsciously attract somebody who's not entirely suitable for you. Sometimes Venus here is about being involved with someone who's unavailable to you. Things are hidden underneath. You might fancy someone, but there's circumstances that you can't overcome at that point. So just be aware of that. But yeah, it does bring beautiful meditative experiences and nice dreams as well. Neptune goes direct on the 6th here, and it's in your home and family, bringing a lovely spiritual vibe. The only maybe caution is be a little bit careful that you don't see your family members with rose-coloured glasses and idealise them a bit too much. On the 13th, the new moon is in your sign, which is great news for new beginnings, hence the Ace of Wands card here in the second half of the month. So this could be new ideas about how you approach the world. It could be a reformation of your personality in some way. It could be updating or changing your appearance in some way, new clothes, new makeup, new hair, that sort of thing. Then we have Mercury retrograde on the 13th here and in Capricorn. So be a little bit cautious about spending money and miscommunications or delays around money, or possessions. If you want to buy something, just double check the price, double check all the details of the transaction. You may find that if you order something, it's delayed. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but there could be some changes there. If you start anything before the 6th of December and run out of energy, you might pick it up again after the 13th, because then you go back to it, you see. Then we have on the 22nd, the sun going into Capricorn as well, bringing a lot of insight and awareness about your finances and also possessions and values. So that is a time when you can make better decisions, better judgments about money when the sun comes in. The 23rd, Mercury is retrograde, and so it goes from your sign into Capricorn and then back into your sign again. And again, just be a little bit cautious about your communications. The messages that you put out there into the world could get sort of mucked up a little bit, or you might feel like your head is in the clouds and it's hard to think straight. I often feel like that. On the 27th, the full moon is in Cancer in your 8th house here, shaking up the energies around intimacy and also around anything that you share with somebody else. So your joint resources, shared assets, investments, bank loans, taxes, superannuation or 401k if you're in the States. It's like there's a shake up, and then upstairs is saying, here, look at this area of your life now. And in Cancer, there could be some sort of emotion attached to it. So it's not the end of the world or anything like that. It just means that you probably need to get a bit more organised and try, well, as much as you can, don't get overly emotional about it if you can help it. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius. Yay! In your sign. This is beautiful. Lovely new look, clothes. You might feel on top of the world with your appearance with Venus here. People notice you. You have the Venusian aura. People think how very polite and elegant and graceful you are. Venusian goddess there in your sign. On the 31st, your ruler Jupiter is turning direct in Taurus, in your normal everyday work, your routines and your health, bringing some sort of expansion. If you haven't had enough work and you're looking for more work, you're likely to get it at that time, because Jupiter makes everything bigger that it touches. And even sometimes there's a square aspect. You can see there's a square to your MC. It's opposing Mars here with other planets that would bring some sort of challenges. With Jupiter, it just brings you down to earth a bit more. The confidence is probably still there to some extent, so it's not a disaster. It's if you're going to have a square or an opposition, the best planet to have one with is Jupiter. So another thing that will happen is probably in January. I haven't done the January horoscopes yet, but Jupiter is approaching Uranus. So there's something very unusual or unpredictable that's going to happen in your normal routine or in your normal everyday work or health. It's not specifically saying that it's negative or positive, but because Jupiter is often associated with good luck, it could be quite positive. It could be something out of the blue that actually brings you good luck. Alrighty, so that's it. I hope this is useful for you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign as well, and have a wonderful month. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, courageous Capricorns. Let's get on with your horoscope. But firstly, I've got 2 tarot cards to choose as theme cards for the month for you. So let's go to the board now and do that. And then we'll have a look at your horoscope in depth. Right, so the first half of the month, what do I see for you? Oh, it's like moving forward at a slower pace than perhaps you would like. Maybe you want to go a little bit quicker with things, but it's hard to do that. But however, there is a little bit of sunshine here. This is the weirdest vision. It's like in the old days, there used to be this thing, and they would say that you got a shot in the arm, which was like a boost. In the old days, it used to be a positive thing to have a vaccine. And so instead of this going into your arm, it's going into your head. So there's a shot in the arm in your head, which stimulates your thinking for new ideas. So some sort of inoculation to your thinking, stimulates your ideas, and is also protective against ideas that are not healthy. So it's a good thing. Sorry for the visual on this, but it's like the guides that I've got, they're old-fashioned, and they were around maybe 50, 100 years ago, so they still think like that, and that's not me, by the way. Anyway, so the card that comes up is the Two of Swords. You have some decisions to make this month. Just be aware that you're bringing your experience into those decisions, which is fine. We all do that. These reflections of the past are influencing your decisions. You need to analyse and cut through right to the core so you can make a decision about something. It's a minor arcana card, so it's not overly important. Now, what do I see? You're on a train track. So on a train track. So this just means you're on track for where you need to go. There's lots of other people on board. This suggests to me that most of your energy is going in the same direction, which is good because that sort of minimises internal conflict. The card that comes out is the Two of Wands. So again, another minor arcana. There was some sort of limiting force, and it probably just wasn't the right time, but now that has been minimized. There's like a gap in this stone fence here. You can step out of the boxes that you've been enclosed in. Still requires some energy to do so, however it's minimal, so it's a great time to take action this month and to free yourself from anything that might be restricting you. She's got some sage. That's not a cigarette. She's got some sage in her hand here, suggesting some sort of purification or healing, cleansing going on at the same time. I might just move that up there like that so you can see better. Alrighty, so let's go and make this slightly larger. First thing to notice is this lovely little minor grand trine here between Venus, Mercury, and your ruler Saturn. And Saturn and Mercury are funneling their energies down here to Mercury in your 12th house. So you're probably having a more spiritual month than usual. Normally you're quite practical. You don't tend to have your head in the clouds that much compared to, say, some of the other signs, and you tend to be practical and down to earth. And with Mercury there in your 12th house of the subconscious, you could be getting messages from your subconscious that tell you how to do things in a practical or expansive way so that you're feeling more motivated. And it's just these spontaneous little bursts of motivation to get going and do something, get it going. So that's good news. With Venus, it's likely to be in a very polite, courteous or beautiful manner. And with Saturn there, you're likely to be concerned with structure, and also the timing might be important as to when you do this. If you're working like 9 to 5, you might find over the Christmas break you've got some free time and you can get some of these jobs done after you make a decision about what you want to do. And it's sort of like a general, what would you say, improvement all around. So let's look at some of these other influences that are going on. On the 2nd, Mercury moves into your sign here. So this is going to affect you obviously a fair bit. It's to do with your general temperament, the way you present yourself to the world, your appearance, how you communicate to the outside world, and communications are likely to be quite active. And again, this sort of theme of brilliant flashes of insight coming in after you make these decisions. On the 5th, Venus moves into Scorpio here, catching up with friends, associations, groups, connections in a very lovely, polite, beautiful way. You could meet new people, beautiful people on the inside and the outside. It's also about your hopes and dreams. If you have any romantic dreams, for example, or romantic hopes, there might be some movement in that area. things look better there. Especially in Scorpio, it tends to be quite passionate and deep. On the 6th, Neptune turns direct here, and it will be moving towards your house and family zone, but for the moment and for some considerable time, it's here in your communication zone, your communications or studies perhaps, or things to do with your local environment could take on quite a spiritual tone. Neptune's been here for a long time. What is it? I think it's 14 years in each house, so it's probably been here a good 10 years or so, 10 or 12 years. Then we have, and by the way, with that moving direct, you're likely to feel it more if you are sensitive. When it's retrograde, you probably won't feel it, but if you are sensitive, you'll feel it more when it turns direct. The 13th sees the new moon in Sagittarius joining this party here in your subconscious, and the new moon brings up new things. So that is a bit of a theme here. What would you say? Spontaneous messages and ideas coming from your subconscious, and the new moon helps that. The 13th also sees Mercury going retrograde in your sign, so you're likely to feel this quite intently. And as you're a cardinal sign, it could well affect the other cardinal signs as well, but you'll feel it the most. The other cardinal signs, so there's Cancer, Libra, and Gemini, as well as your sign. You'll feel it the most, however. So do be cautious, because there can be miscommunications, misunderstandings. It's not a great time to sign a contract, because you may have to revisit it at another time. It is a great time to complete anything you started before the 6th of December. You may have started something and just put it aside because you ran out of time or energy or effort or money or something. However, Mercury will help you finish that job if you would like to. On the 22nd, the sun goes into your sign. Happy birthday to all Capricorns, bringing a lot of insight, awareness, a brand new start, a new cycle, a new chapter in your book of life for the next year. And there's likely to be some sort of feeling of contentment or even happiness. You may change your appearance, want to update the way you look, or you may change the way that you interact with the world in some way. On the 23rd, Mercury then goes back into Sagittarius. So it's here in your 12th house, giving you messages in your dreams, perhaps, comes into your sign, then it goes retrograde, and retrograde, then it travels back into your 12th house, the house of the subconscious, the house of the divine. Sometimes there's things to do with charities. You might have some charitable inclinations, or prisons or institutions can also be triggered with so much activity here in the 12th house. Then we have on the 23rd, I just mentioned that, 27th, the full moon is in Cancer here opposite your sign. So this could bring a little bit of turbulence to do with your close and committed relationships. It's like a spotlight is being shone on your significant other, and so you can look at what's going on in those relationships and decide if anything needs rectifying or anything needs attention. Relationships, important relationships, need attention in order to thrive. So if you could possibly manage it, would be great to go away for a weekend together if you're married or not, or spend some time together, just you and the other person. Then we have Venus moving into Sagittarius on the 3rd into your 12th house, on the 31st. No, I'll get it right. On the 30th. On the 30th, it's hard to say. Venus moving in here can bring a beautiful tone to your dreams and your meditations, but it's like the power of Venus is somewhat hidden. You can't easily access it in this place. Sometimes it can also indicate that there's some sort of relationship that is hidden or kept under wraps, or perhaps somebody that would be important to you is unavailable to you in some way. So it might not apply to you. Might just be that you have beautiful dreams, but they sort of don't feel entirely fulfilling because you can't get them out into the outside world yet. And on the 31st, Jupiter goes direct in Taurus here. And in January, Jupiter will approach Uranus, and something quite surprising could happen and could be quite positive regarding your creativity or romance. So yeah, check your January horoscope for that when I'll have the dates. So that's it, dear Capricorn. I hope this is useful. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate it. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign too. Have a wonderful month. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, awesome Aquarius. A few interesting things happening for you this month. But firstly, what I want to do is draw 2 theme cards for you for the month of December. So let's go to the board now and we'll draw those cards and see what comes out for you. So Aquarius in December, what am I seeing? So I've got some graph paper here, and it's like navigation charts and writing out, working out, using navigation and mathematical principles almost, what your direction is and how fast you're travelling and are you getting to where you want to go, basically. All right, so let's see what card we get. The card that comes out is the 9 of Cups. It's all about your hopes and dreams, navigating your way through life to reach your hopes and dreams. It's like you send them out into the universe hears all and works out a plan for you, and then it communicates that plan back to you on how to obtain those hopes and dreams. And it's really important that you stay practical, and with Saturn as one of your co-ruling planets, you can keep your feet on the ground, so it's not all airy-fairy up in the sky sort of energy. It's quite grounded and practical and down to earth, but at the same time it's quite a spiritual energy, and it involves being in touch with your subconscious, your watery depths here as well. You'll see she's got red legs and a red and black skirt. Black because some of the info is hidden, but red because it's very active and energetic, and it requires energy and effort on your part to make your hopes and dreams come to fruition. But it's opportunity. It's an opportunity. Alrighty, so the second half of the month, and just to finish off on that because I've got more here, on that point, it's a matter of you using the first half of the month to sit and really be very specific and careful about what your hopes and dreams are. There's some things that are locked up here. I can see some padlocks. You really have to decide, do you want to open those padlocks up and release the Kraken or are you content to go along with the same old? So balls in your court. So the second half of the month, what do I see? I've got lots of blue and white swirling energy here, so lots of activity in your mind's eye and new energy coming in. I've got strange feelings going on here in this little finger. If palmistry, the little finger, I think it's the Mercury finger. You might correct me in the comments. Palmistry is not a strength of mine, but it is a sort of mild interest. But I think this is the Mercury finger. So that's all about your communications and lots of going over in your mind, lots of thoughts, new thoughts coming in. You'll be talking about these as well, because it's not just the sky of mine that's getting stronger and stronger the more I talk about it. It's almost throbbing to get these communications out into the world. So your thoughts, write it all down, because there's some real genius ideas here that you can bring into fruition. Especially in the knuckle, I'm getting it. You may have had an injury or something like that happen with your little finger at some point, which may have impacted on your messaging in some way. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the second card. That first one's a bit painful. And let's see what we get. Second card. So any injuries that you may have had involving your communications are likely to be healed, because I can see a crystal clear waterfall with the water flowing very fast. So more vitality, more energy coming into your communications, healing you in some way. It's beautiful, actually. I can hear it. This doesn't look like healing, but it is ultimately healing. Initially, there's some sort of shock. Something may happen that you didn't anticipate if you weren't paying attention. If you are paying attention, there's a third eye here in the sky that sees all. And this eye, this intuition, knew that something was afoot. This is usually a sort of construct that you've built up in your head about something, and it's going to come crashing down, I'm afraid. The people you thought were doing whatever they said they were doing, they're not actually doing it, and the whole thing's going to come down, or they're not doing it to the proper level, or they're not efficient, or they're not doing what they say, basically. I'll get there eventually. If you're sensitive, you already know about this to some extent. You'll already suspect, because of this eye in the sky, somebody's crown is toppling, and you will find out about it in December. So it's a major arcana, so the effects could last for some time, not only December. Please don't be afraid of this card. I know people do freak out about the Tower card when things come crashing down. It's just have a plan B and a plan C for any of your intuitions that you might be getting now. All right, so there are your two cards. Let's make this bigger so you can see. Now, the first of the month is when I do the charts, and you'll see these two triangles. So we have a small talent triangle here, and it's quite spiritual. Pluto's working here, and it's the apex of the talent triangle. It's the focal point. There's a lot of transformation going on in your spiritual world. And the Mercury, the planet Mercury here, and Saturn, your co-ruler, are giving energy towards this transformation on a spiritual level in the subconscious. And so that's a good thing. So we have semi-sextiles and we have a sextile here, so it's a smooth flowing energy. You probably don't have to put any effort into it. It just sort of happens naturally in your subconscious, lining everything up. Then we have, at the same time, we have Pluto, Venus and the Moon forming a T-square, which is a bit of a challenge. But T-squares are not all negative, because even though they're challenging, they usually can bring about a better situation, or there's like a way around it. The moon is in its normal phases. It's not a full moon, it's not a new moon, it's between. But it's very quickly travelling through your normal everyday routine, your health and your work. And so this literally lasts hours on the 1st. It could be the 31st of 30 days have September, April, June and November. It could be the 30th of November, could be the 1st of December most likely, or could even be the 2nd of December, but most likely it's on the 1st. It only lasts for a few hours. So there could be some challenging aspects involving your normal everyday routine, your subconscious, the transformation that Pluto is affecting there, and also the way that you want to grow your life, the way you want to expand your life in a pleasant, lovely, sort of beautiful way with Venus here in Libra, which is very polite, very peaceful, quite beautiful and lovely, and could involve spirituality, philosophy, interactions with people from other countries perhaps, or even study. So anyway, I would just say just be a little bit careful on the 1st of December. Now moving to your horoscope in depth, Venus moves into Scorpio on the 5th here, and this brings a lovely, beautiful energy to your career, your status and your public life. On the 6th, Neptune moves direct. It still stays here in your 2nd house of finances, so do be particularly careful. It's been here for a long time. However, it's been here for probably about 10 or 12 years, so that's nothing unusual for you. The 13th sees a new moon in Sagittarius, bringing new friendships. You may meet new people. It's a lovely start, a new beginning, a sense of new beginnings around your friends groups and associates, and also your hopes and dreams. You may become very motivated or optimistic about new hopes and dreams. On the 13th, Mercury turns retrograde up here, and it moves into Capricorn, turns retrograde, and then it goes back into Sagittarius. So retrograde here in your 12th house, it's probably affecting your messages that you pick up from spirit, your dreams, your meditations. Things could go a bit quieter there. It's a time for reflection and review, reassess what's going on in your life. Spend some time alone to do that. It's not a great time to sign contracts. It is a great time to finish off anything that you started before the 6th of the month. On the 22nd, the Sun enters Capricorn, here also in your 12th house of spirituality, bringing some sort of enlightenment. So even if there is confusion underneath, the Sun then brings some sort of awareness as to what's going on. On the 23rd, Mercury moves back to Sagittarius, still retrograde, so it'll probably affect your associations, friends, groups, and perhaps your hopes and dreams there. There could be some sort of delay. On the 27th, the full moon is in Cancer, shining a light on your normal everyday activities, your routine, your work, and also your well-being and health. There could be a bit of turbulence there. Again, you need more privacy. There could be interactions with women that get a bit of a shake-up as well. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius here, joining all of these other planets in your house of friends, groups and associations, and again your hopes and dreams. So some beautiful hopes and dreams coming, no doubt. And finally, on the 31st, Jupiter moves direct here in Taurus. In January, probably around mid-January, Jupiter will catch up to Uranus here, and there will be some very unusual or unexpected, unpredictable things happening around your home and family, but they're probably positive because Jupiter usually brings good luck. You could be expanding your home or family in some way. Maybe there's some redecoration or landscaping or something like that to do. Okay, so that's it. Awesome, Aquarius. Hope this is useful and helpful for you. Please leave a comment or share on your socials. That would be fabulous. And check out your moon and rising sign as well. Thanks again. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, passionate Pisces. I've got your horoscope, but firstly, let's choose 2 theme cards for the month for you. So we'll go to the board right now. Here's your horoscope and the cards. So the first half of the month, what do I see? There's, I don't know how to describe this. It's like architecture, but it's all in gold. And it could be like a design on a ring or jewelry, perhaps. And it's beautiful. It has vertical elements and horizontal elements. So horizontal elements, when you have vertical, is like a cross current. So you might be coming to terms with an energy, but there's cross currents. So, but you're getting there, and in the process of getting there, it's a beautiful thing to behold. Actually, it's quite valuable. What I'm looking at is made of gold, so a high spiritual vibration. The card that comes out is the Hopes and Dreams card. This keeps coming out, I don't know how many times in the last few days. So obviously all about the hopes and dreams that you send out to the universe. It's the 9 of Cups, so it's coming towards the end of the cycle, but you still have a little bit more to go. It's important to keep your feet on the ground and be practical and grounded in this process of sending your hopes and dreams out. It's very easy for part of our energy, as we send our hopes and dreams out to the universe, part of our energy goes with it, and then we're not grounded. So stay practical. Hope for things that you can actually do something about. So that way you don't tend to lose your energy out there in the ether so much. So the earth here, the subconscious forces here, and send it all out. Action needs to be taken towards your hopes and dreams. 9 of Cups. And the second half of the month, what do I see for you? Passionate Pisces, passionate Pisces. There's a woman here in a long white flowing robe. She could even be an angel, but I can't see the wings. But yeah, it's more like a dress than a robe. And she's just here on the left side. It's like she's watching everything that is going on. The feminine is with you. So that's important because you have to obviously have some degree of the feminine no matter what you're doing. That's the ability to receive it's not all about us doing all of the time. It is sometimes about us receiving what the universe has to offer. The card that comes up is the King of Pentacles. She's a nice balance to a masculine king energy. So yes, he is very proactive about doing things to make money. And here is the harvest of all that he's achieved. So this aubergine colour is almost the colour of the third eye, certainly connected to the crown chakra. So important to have some sort of spiritual principles when you're making money, because making money can sometimes push you over into things that are not exactly wholesome. So if you have spiritual principles that you can rely on, that helps keep you on track. He's got gold here, very high vibration, so he makes money in an honest way with integrity. You could meet someone like this, or alternatively, you could find this energy in yourself. Maybe some of your ancestors have this. I might move all of these up a little bit so you can see a bit better. All right, and now we'll make this bigger. So the two things to note when we start the month on the 1st is you have a small talent triangle here with Mercury and Saturn funneling their energies towards the focal planet Pluto, which is all about transformation to do with your hopes and dreams. Pluto is in the very slow, gradual process of transforming your hopes and dreams, what you think is possible, and if you want to make it a reality, what you need to do to make it physical. Because this Nine of Cups, it doesn't sound like it's a practical card because it's all about emotions, but she is seated on the shoreline here, which does suggest that grounding is required. So some sort of energy, focusing the energy towards Pluto, and there's a semi-sextile, and a sextile between Saturn and Mercury. So structured communications and structured thinking can help you plan out how this transformation of your hopes and dreams is going to take place. This could involve your friends, groups and associates as well. So just keep that in mind. Then we have, only for a matter of hours, in fact, is a T-square here between Venus, the Moon and Pluto again. Could be a few rumblings on the 1st of December. It's possible it's a day before or a day after, but it's most probably the 1st. And this could be to do with shared resources or intimacy, because Venus is here in your 8th house in Libra. So it's probably to do with somebody that you have some sort of warmth or affection for, or Venus does look after money, so it could also be your investments, your real estate, if you have any, and it could be things like taxes. It's shared resources that you share with another person, company or government agency. Venus does look after money, so there's some sort of rumblings going on the 1st. It's only for a few hours because pretty soon the moon is going to move out of that house altogether. It only stays in each house for 2.5 to 3.5 days. And this T-squared, it'll be out of orb in hours, so don't worry too much about it. It's just because I'm only mentioning it because it's the 1st, and I always think the first day of the month is a mini sort of omen for the rest of the month, in the same way or a similar way in that the first month of the year is a sort of an omen for getting ready for the rest of the year, if that makes sense. That's just a personal thing I have. All right, let's look at your horoscope now in depth. On the 2nd, Mercury moves into Capricorn. Up here where are we? Mercury here, into Capricorn, lots of communications with your friends, groups and associates. Could be quite practical, could be organising meetups, or get-ups, whatever they are. Meetups together, or some practical consideration in Capricorn. Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn, so timing might be important, scheduling might be important, but some sort of structured communications going on there. On the 5th, Venus moves into Scorpio here, and this brings a beautiful, flowing, easy, peaceful, loving, affectionate, warm kind of energy into your life, and you might be thinking about how you can grow your life in a very lovely way, how you can bring beauty into your life. On the 6th, Neptune goes direct here. Neptune in your sign is it's very strong because it's associated with spirituality, you're associated with spirituality, and so it could be that you're approaching the world in a very spiritual way, or people perceive you in a very spiritual way. Do be careful, of course, that you're not too idealistic or seeing the world through rose-coloured glasses. Sometimes idealism can go to that. Then on the 13th, the new moon moves into Sagittarius here. It's all about your career, brand new starts to do with career. Also authority figures, any relationships that you have with authority figures such as a parent or an employer, somebody like that, could be rejuvenated or start off afresh in some way, and probably in a positive way too. It's the beginning of a cycle, and also on the 13th, Mercury goes retrograde here. So it's moved from Sag into Capricorn, it goes retrograde in Capricorn, and then it moves back into Sag. And Mercury retrograde in your 11th house, be extra careful with, again, scheduling, planning, get-togethers, meetups or get-ups or whatever with your friends and groups, because there could be miscommunication. It's not a great time for travel. It is a great time to complete anything that you started before the 6th of December. You might have lost interest, maybe you didn't have time, maybe you didn't have energy or money or whatever the reason was. Something might happen so that the past comes back to you and you can finish it off. The 22nd sees the Sun moving into Capricorn here, and with this there's insight, awareness around your associations, around your hopes and dreams, your understanding why things are the way they are. There's some sort of warmth, stability, security and comfort with the people that. Then we have on the 23rd, yes, that's when Mercury goes back into Sagittarius here. I mentioned that before. On the 27th, the full moon is in Cancer, and this brings a bit of a shake-up regarding your creativity, or perhaps any romantic liaisons that you may or may not have. It's like the universe is casting a light onto these matters, and you're looking at it and you're starting again to understand. It could be a little bit turbulent, and women can sometimes be involved. Sometimes you might be involved with children and they play up or your inner child is playing up, maybe being rebellious in some way. With a full moon in Cancer, it's probably quite emotional. On the 30th, Venus moves into Sagittarius here, smoothing things out in career with authority figures, or perhaps you appear more beautiful in public. This could be on social media, or it might be face-to-face, or any events or parties or things that you may be going to, especially given it's December. There's bound to be some Christmas things on offering, some Christmas events. And with the Venusian energy, you'll probably appear quite attractive, quite beautiful. And even if it's not physically beautiful, the Venusian beauty from within shines. So people do notice that. And often they can't put their finger exactly on it. Any relationships you have with authority figures, especially parents or employers, you will be polite, or you will appear polite and courteous, and that is quite smooth and going quite well. Jupiter turns direct in Taurus on the 31st here, affecting your communications, which somehow grow larger. Maybe if you're on social media, you get more reach, for example. And then in January, Jupiter is approaching Uranus, and it will be within orb of Uranus, probably mid-month or something like that. And something unexpected but probably positive and lucky could happen concerning your communications, study, or to do with your local area, perhaps even distant family members. All right, so that's it, passionate Pisces. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign, and have a wonderful month. I will see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now.